Assalamualaikum dear students, hope you are fine by the grace of Almighty Allah. Welcome to NIEVS Home School. I am Sabreena Haque, assistant teacher of science, National Ideal English Version School, day shift. Dear students, today I am going to take a chemistry class for class 10 student on the based on chapter 8, and this is the second part of the chapter. Dear students, let us move forward to this topic. Dear students, we will now start about the electrochemical cell. Then what is the electrochemical cell? The mechanism that helps chemical reaction to convert chemical energy into electrical energy directly or used electrical energy to conduct chemical reaction is called electrochemical cell. And there are two types of electrochemical cell, that is electrolytic cell and galvanic cell. And what is electrolytic cell? The cell where electricity is driven from an outer source to carry out a chemical reaction inside the cell is called electrolytic cell. Now come to galvanic cell, the cell where chemical elements undergo reaction and produce electrical energy is called galvanic cell. Now come to conductor. The materials through which electricity can pass are called electrical conductor. Now the metals, graphite, molten salt solution, acid base solution, etc. are electrical conductor. The conductors are of two types, electronic conductor and electrolytes. Now come to electronic conductor. The substances through which electricity is passed is electron media passes through the electron medium is called electronic conductor. Like all metals are electron conductor, iron, copper, nickel, etc. are electron conductor. Now come to electrolytes. The substances that let electricity pass in their melted and solution state but do not let pass in their solid states simultaneously bring about chemical change in the substances is called electrolytes. And electrolytes remain ionized in their melted and solution state. The ions is used by electrolytes to conduct the electricity. Ionic compound and some polar covalent compounds become electrolytes in their molten or solution state, like sodium chloride, copper sulfate, sulfuric acid, water, ethanoic acid, etc. are this type of, that means electrolytes. And there are two types of electrolyte. One is strong electrolyte, like the electrolytes that remain completely ionized in molten or solution state is called strong electrolytes. Then sodium chloride, copper sulfate, sulfuric acid are strong electrolytes. Now come to next one, that is weak electrolytes. Electrolytes that remains ionized at a very little amount in molten or solution state is called weak electrolytes. Water, ethanoic acid are weak electrolytes. Now come to electrodes. Electrodes is the metallic or non-metallic conductor. They are electronic conductors shrunk in solution of electrolytes in the electrochemical cell. An element or ion donates an electron to an electrode in oxidation reaction. The positive ions accept the electron and other electrode of the reduction. That means oxidation and reduction occurs in the whole cell. Some of the ions take the electrons and some of the ion give up the electrons. The electrodes where the oxidation occurs is called anode electron. This is called anode electrode, and the electrode where the reduction occurs, that is known as cathode electrons. Their students, cathode electrode is joined with the negative portion of the battery, and anode electrode is joined with the positive portion of the battery. Now come to electrolytic cell, electrolysis and the mechanism of electrolysis. Electrolytic cell use the electricity to conduct chemical reaction. Their occurs a chemical reaction at any time of electricity passing through molten or solution of the electrolyte, which is known as electrolysis. This is the definition of electrolysis. Then chlorine gas, when the electricity passed through molten sodium chloride, so chlorine gas in the anode and sodium metal in the cathode goes and takes and give up the electrons, and this is the electrolysis of sodium chloride. That means sodium chloride breaks down, it produces sodium and the chlorine gas. Now mechanism of electrolysis of molten and sodium chloride. Look, this is the electrolysis cell of the sodium chloride. Here there is a graphite, two graphite electrode, and one graphite electrode is joined with the positive end of the battery, and another graphite stick is joined with the negative portion of the negative end of the battery, and this is work as cathode, and this portion is work as anode. And here the chlorine, it has the extra electron. Chlorine come here and it give up that electron and make the chlorine gas, and here the sodium comes and takes one electron. That means here the oxidation occurs and here the reduction occurs, and sodium takes one electron and makes sodium metal. Now come to here, the molten sodium chloride contains sodium ion and chlorine ion. Both of them have able to migrate. Two metallic bars of graphite streaks are submerged into the molten sodium chloride. If connect them with positive part of the battery, another negative part of the battery, what will be there? Here the oxidation in the anode. There anion of the chlorine come here and it makes half of chlorine gas, and one electron it discharges. Now come to next one in the reduction at the cathode. The cation of sodium come here and take one electron and make sodium metal, and the ion are attracted by the cathode called cation, and the ion attracted by anode is known as anion. Then identification of chlorine gas with litmus paper, through the electrolysis cell, through the electrolysis process here we get chlorine gas from the sodium chloride. Then it is chlorine or not, how we will prove that? We can use a wet blue litmus on the test tube of chlorine gas and it will turns red. Why? Because chlorine react with water which in the litmus paper, because we use wet litmus paper and produce hydrochloric acid and hypochlorous acid. That both acid, we know the acid turns blue litmus into red, that's why that blue litmus turns into red. That prove that their chlorine gas is produced. Now come to electrolysis or concentration sodium chloride solution. Dear student, then in concentration sodium chloride solution, concentrated sodium chloride solution, sodium chloride becomes ionized and produce sodium ion and chlorine ion, and in water also they produce hydrogen and hydroxyl ion, and hydrogen ion is more prone to accept electron and sodium than the sodium ion, and hydrogen ion accept one electron at cathode becomes hydrogen atom. Two hydrogen atom again join together become hydrogen molecule, and the reaction in the cathode, that is hydrogen takes one electron and produce hydrogen atom, and two hydrogen atom join together to make one hydrogen molecule. Chlorine and hydroxyl simultaneously go towards anode, but hydroxyl ion is more prone to donate electrons than chlorine ion. However, since molarity of chlorine in the solution is higher than hydroxyl ion, so it donates the electrons anode earlier than hydroxyl ion. Then one chlorine ion donates electrons anode and becomes chlorine atom. Two chlorine atom join together producing chlorine molecules. Then it reaction, the Anode, chlorine donate 1 electron and 2 chlorine atom join together to produce a chlorine molecule. Dear students, here two things is notable. One is molarity, another is more prone, that we will learn in our next page. Dear students, comes here, and sodium and hydroxyl are left over in the electrolytic cell, and they undergo react and produce sodium hydroxide, and thus way look from there we are giving up the sodium chloride solution, and here sodium hydroxide we can get back from the cell. The tendency of cation and anion to discharge, that they are saying about to more prone, that means here the cations and anions list, in the list which are the in the below, they are more prone to or more active than the upper one. Like if there is ions of sulfate ion and hydroxyl ion, because hydroxyl ion is in the down, that time the hydroxyl ion will give electron first. That means if in one solution there is sulfate and hydroxyl both ion, the hydroxyl ion will be donate electron first, and similarly if in one solution sodium and hydrogen ion, then first the hydrogen ion will take the electron because it is more prone or more active than the sodium. Now come to effect of concentration of cation and anion, that we said in the page number 184 about the molarity. Then when there are more than one cation and anion in solution, the effect of molarity. What is molarity? How many moles are dissolved in 1 liter solution? That is the molarity of a component. Then it is more important than factor of tendency to discharge. The molarity of chlorine is 1 molar in sodium chloride solution in room temperature will be decimal 1 molar. On the other hand, deducting the water, molarity of hydroxyl ion is 10 to the power minus 7 molar, and that means that molarity of chlorine is 10 to the power 6 times larger than hydroxyl ion. According to electrochemical series, hydroxyl is situated lower than chlorine and supposed to be fast to discharge, but due to molarity of or concentration, here chlorine ion will be discharged first. Now come to nature of electrode. Here we will discuss about the exceptions. The kind of electrode cause the exception in the above two factors of discharge or in the electrolytic cell. Sodium chloride aqueous solution has two kinds of cation, sodium and hydrogen. When platinum electrode is used, then according to factor hydrogen discharge and produce hydrogen gas, but if this change the mercury, that means in place of platinum electrode if we use mercury electrode, that time the sodium ion discharge earlier. That means the electrode makes the exception. Now come to electrolysis of pure water. Pure water, anode and cathode, some inert metal is used to in the electrolytic cell. Usually it is platinum. Sorry, water exists in a little bit ionized, that's why we have to use some drop of sulfuric acid or some lattice of sodium chloride. Dear student, it will make the electron pass smoothly because the water is partially ionized, a little bit ionized, that's why we need sodium chloride or sulfuric acid for passing the electron. Now come to use of electrolysis. Electrolysis used in industrial sector Beggar description. Produce of important compound, extraction of metal from ores and purification of metals, protection from decay, prevention of rust, etc. processes requires electrolysis, and electrolysis required electrolytic cell. Some of the uses are extraction of metal, alkali metal, alkaline metal, aluminium, active etc. active metal are extracted through electrolysis. Usually the cathodes produce these metals when electricity is passed through electrodes in the liquid of such metallic compound of solution. Sodium chloride, we found sodium metal in cathode and chlorine gas in anode. Pure aluminium oxide or alumina. Aluminium metal is produced in cathode, oxygen gets in anode. Look, this is the alumina. When we break down it, it is aluminium cation and oxygen anion. And reaction in anode, oxygen gives up electron and makes 3/2 of oxygen. And now come to reaction of cathodes. Aluminium takes 6 electrons and make 2 atoms of aluminium. Now purification of metal. Electrolysis is highly effective to purify these metals, and a pure electrode is the same metal connected to the negative edge of the battery. When electricity is passed through, the metallic ions from impure electrode goes into the solution, and from the solution the ion is transferred to the pure electrode. As a result, the pure electrode thickened while the impure electrode decay. That portion is important. Now come to electroplating. Adding a coating of a metal or another metal is called electroplating. Dear student, there is the procedure of electroplating and how the spoon is giving a electroplate of a silver metal. And you have to read this total part. And now come to commercial use of products with electrolysis. There are many use of electrolysis, that means producing various types of metal and and there from getting copper, gold, silver evolves electrolysis procedure, and the copper where we are using in everywhere. Aluminium also uses to making the utensils. Zinc, magnesium are required to add the coating on iron product. That's why we get all this product through the electrolysis procedure, and electrolysis procedure is most important procedure for getting this metals. So this is so much important. Now come to homework number 2. This is, you have to make 5 MCQ with 4 options from this part of the chapter, and you have to submit on Saturday from 9 AM to 3 PM. Dear students, I have finished my today's topic. Hope you have understood. Do the SW, submit it. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.